Hi. How often do you look at yourself in the mirror and think, yeah, I like what I see? Now, how often do you do that when you're naked? Right. It's a little bit different. It's easier to say when you're dressed up, like right now. I'm in a suit. I like suits. I'm a fan of them. But even though I like what I see way more than a suit. Like the first event I wore this for was when I got married to my eventual ex-wife. After the divorce, I didn't really wear it until the second time I wore the suit, which was in the first play that I acted in here in Indiana. I played a Japanese guy who didn't speak English. Classic. Fun fact, I'm not Japanese. I'm Filipino, which is often identified as Asian, but, whatever. And anyway, I'm about over this suit, so I'm just going to take it off. In the spring semester of my senior year, I was 17, and I realized I wasn't going to go to college, because with only a 3.5 GPA, why would a college accept a failure like me? Thanks, Mom. So I enlisted because I needed to get out of the house for multiple reasons. Yeah, I joined the Navy to give young teenage Marlon some freedom. These are my summer whites. They're actually my favorite uniform, and I wore them in a musical in college. I proudly identify myself as a veteran, and overall, my enlistment was a positive experience. It really was. Yes, I live with PTSD. No, it has nothing to do with my deployment. After I got out of the Navy, I moved back to California, and I started at a community college. One of the classes I elected to take was women's psychology. In that course, one of the topics that stood out to me was sexual harassment and rape. Now, on board a submarine with an all-male crew, sex was something that was often joked about. The environment was testosterone-filled and misogynistic, to say the least. But I'm a guy. I'm supposed to want sex, right? Like, why wouldn't I want it? I'm a guy. Well, there was a time when I didn't, and I did know her. And years later, when you learn that it's actually okay to say no, and that consent is a real thing, it changes everything. Now, when I was 10 or 11, I got in trouble for a less than stellar report card. Being Asian, this meant I got B's. True story. So, I'm at home, I'm getting my beat down, and all of a sudden my mom stops, and I think I'm catching a break. Except she brings me into the bathroom and tells me to stand on a stool and look at myself, which doesn't seem so bad, except for the fact that she also ordered me to strip down and stand there naked. Facing my reflection, she asks me, "Do you like what you see?" Naked and sobbing, salty tears running down my cheeks, onto my chest, and onto my feet. I told her what she wanted to hear, but it was also the truth. No. But that wasn't enough for her. She made me run laps around the house, still naked, and every time I came back to the bathroom, I stood on the stool, and she asked me again, "Do you like what you see? Do you?" The answer was always no. But this wasn't about my report card or my body. Eventually, I learned from it. For years, I hated looking in the mirrors. I feared being naked in front of other people. It took me well over 20 years to learn how to love myself, and I'm still learning. I'd be lying if I said I didn't have my bouts with depression and addiction and self-acceptance, and the good thing about that is that I learned from it. I learned from all of it, and I learned how to forgive. I learned how to accept who and what I am, and that was a huge, huge step for me. But I also learned how to forgive, which was a huge deal. And to remind me to forgive my mother, I got a tattoo. And it says, "Forgive is divine." Now, when I get ready in the mornings and I see myself, I can honestly say that I like what I see. I see a man who grew from a fiery childhood. I see someone that has lost a few battles with depression and addiction, but is still winning the war. I see a man with stories and scars and tattoos, and I can cover up as much or as little with whatever I choose to wear that day. But I know who and what I am when those layers are gone. The suits, the uniforms, the abuse, addiction, insecurities, all of it. Do I like what I see then? Yes, I do. But I'm still learning. We're all still learning.